In today's video, we're going to be talking about my 3 favorite Fujifilm lenses of the year, and specifically 3 prime Fujifilm lenses. The first lens that I want to talk about is the 8mm prime. Now this is a new lens that Fujifilm came out with in 2023, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the first people to try out this lens. Now, honestly, 8mm, I know what you're saying. It's too wide, it's too hard to shoot with, it's a very specific niche case. I agree. But I'm not gonna lie, I had so much fun using this lens this past year, and the main reason for that is, number one, it is super light and I always kept it in my bag 99% of the time. Second thing that I really love about this lens is that because it is 8mm and it is ultra wide, it really forces you to change the way you think and the way you look at compositions. It forces you to think outside the box. It forces you to be in an uncomfortable situation and uncomfortable positions. And when you live in a world where everyone is using the same lenses and the same focal lengths, trying something new and trying something creative is always a positive for me. Now, even though it is a small and compact lens, it is very durable, it is small sized, you can put it in your pocket, you can put it in your bag, it is weather resistant, and it is built like a tank. Now, obviously, this is not a perfect lens and it is not made for everyone. Not everyone is going to be shooting architecture or trying to be very creative when using an 8mm focal length. And even though this lens is not ideal for low light because it can only go to f3.5, it is very sharp and there's barely no distortion. It may not be for you specifically, but for me personally, after using it the past year, I absolutely loved using this lens. I had so much fun using this lens, and I highly recommend it. At least rent it out, try it out for a week or two, see what kind of cool shots you can come up with, because this is definitely worth trying out. Now, in the second position of my favorite prime lens, I'm going to cheat here a little bit and I'm gonna say it is both the 23mm and the 33mm f1.4, the new and updated versions of the old 23 and 33. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be able to buy both prime lenses. Also, since their focal lengths are super close to each other, some people will choose or opt to go for the 23mm and others will opt to go for the 33mm. But when it comes to positives, these lenses are very similar, except when it comes to focal length. These are both future-proof lenses. And what I mean by that is that they are both weather resistant, they both have linear motors, and they focus really fast. They have an aperture that goes to f1.4, which makes them fast prime lenses. And these prime lenses are super sharp. I personally use these lenses when I go out to shoot at night or when I do portrait sessions with models. And I have had no issues with these lenses at all. Super fun to use. Two of the best focal lengths that you can have, which are the 23mm and the 33mm, obviously on a Fujifilm crop sensor, which is equivalent to the 35 and the 50mm. Now, one big positive, especially for me, that not everyone has talked about is if you do have both lenses share the same filter size or filter thread size or diameter. This means if you have a filter for one of these lenses, you will easily be able to put it on the other lens. And this came very useful for me when I was shooting a concert back in October. I had both lenses at the concert and all I had to do basically was to take the filter off one and put it on the other. Now, for me personally, if I am shooting with models or I'm shooting a subject, I opt to go with the 23mm most of the times, just so I can get more of my environment. And then to get some more detailed shots, I switched to the 33mm. And when doing street photography, I found myself reaching towards the 33mm so many times, because obviously 33mm is equivalent to the 50mm, and that is the closest to the human eye, and it makes more photos look natural. Obviously, the drawback is you cannot buy both lenses. You're gonna have to pick either the 23 or the 33. If you want to capture more of life and the life around you, I would opt for the 33. And if you want to get more shots of your environment and your surroundings, I would opt for the 23mm. If you decide to pick up one of these lenses, you will not be disappointed. I think you would be happy with probably both if you can get both, or definitely super happy with one of them. Now, the third prime lens that I personally love using so much is the 90mm f2. Now, this lens is a beast of a lens. I've had this lens for the past 2 years or 2.5 years, and personally, this thing is a portrait beast. This is equivalent to almost 120, 135mm, and the compression that you can get when shooting street photography or when shooting subjects is absolutely incredible. Now, I absolutely love using this lens when I am shooting products. And when I'm shooting products, I just put the product pretty far away, I take a few steps back, and I start getting those nice crispy detail shots. This lens is super sharp and it goes down to f2, which also makes it great for low light photography and street photography. And when it comes to street photography, this lens is not a slacker. Obviously, if you want to take those long compression shots in long streets or in big cities, or if you want to get people's expressions or people's faces or details, this lens will absolutely be the one for you. And similarly to the other lenses that I have talked about today, it is also weather resistant, so you won't have any issues taking this big boy out with you, whether it's raining or snowing. Speaking of big boy, this is one of the issues with this lens for me personally, is its weight. It comes in at 540 grams, I believe, which is almost obviously half a kilo. And this is going to be a bit heavy and kind of painful on your back. But it is a super special lens. If you want to use it for portraits, the bokeh on this is buttery smooth. And for products, this will be your go-to. This also has linear motors, which makes the autofocusing one of the fastest in the lineup. So this holy trinity that I have talked about today all have weather resistance, linear motors, and fast autofocus. And because this is a 90mm, which is a long focal length, this is also great for nature photography, wildlife photography, and believe it or not, I have used this lens to shoot landscapes. I'll leave a link for a video right here or here that basically explains how I use this for landscapes. And because it is a pretty chunky and hefty lens, sometimes on the smaller Fujifilm bodies, it is heavy to balance this thing or to hold it properly. So for me personally, I have the XH2S and the grip on that is pretty great, so I don't have that issue. But if you're using a smaller body such as the X Pro 3 or the XE4, it's a pretty tough lens to kind of balance. They're my favorite Fujifilm prime lenses of the year. The 8mm, the 23/33, and the 90mm. There's a lot of rumors on new lenses coming out in 2024. We'll see what happens by then. I will leave a link to all the gear that I mentioned today down in the description below. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.